Chapter 10, Building Tolerance and Resilience. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. A quote from Nelson Mandela. So, tolerance is one of the key factors in emotional agility and being able to be empowered with the experiences that are happening in your body. And tolerance really comes a lot from DBT therapy, and it's really about the ability to sit with our uncomfortable feelings. Granted, most people don't need help learning how to be happy. We don't often ask ourselves, well, what's the point of being happy? We just get to enjoy that. But when it comes to the more uncomfortable feelings, we're often motivated to want to do something or to avoid it or to numb out. But the same quality of being with our emotions, specifically the uncomfortable ones, is what's going to help us be able to process the emotion in a way that it arrives in our consciousness and in our awareness. It informs us, and then it resolves and dissipates on its own. So our mind tends to pull away from pain. We are wired to avoid pain. It's an essential part of survival, essentially. But we can tend to confuse emotional pain with like pain from a hot stove. So it hurts, we pull away from it, we want to avoid it, we don't want to look at it. And so it's really, really important when you're experiencing emotional discomfort, anxiety, or pain to remind yourself you are not in danger. So pain is an important teacher. It helps us understand that something needs our attention, but it's meant to teach us and then dissolve. So the pain is not harming us. And this tolerance here, it's not about excusing or accepting mistreatment or abuse. There's certainly a time and a place where if you're feeling in pain or you're not safe, that you need to take action for that. That's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about other forms of emotional distress. So here's the example of how emotions are truly understood, that they awaken into our awareness. They build with like sensations in the body. There might be releases of adrenaline or oxytocin, some of the chemical compounds that make us feel. They increase to a peak, and then they're kind of held within the system, the physical system, and then they move towards completion. The root word of emotion from Latin is about energy in motion. And so emotions move like a wave. And when we're talking about tolerance, what we're really talking about is being able to surf that wave. And you want to be able to go up and down, and to know that the waves move with us constantly throughout our lives. We can't wait for it to calm down. The best thing we can do is to learn to float with our emotions and to, again, remind ourselves that they won't last forever. Stress reduction techniques, soothing techniques, ways to reach out and to help calm yourself. Those are all important things to know how to do, especially when things are feeling very heightened. But the point with learning to turn towards emotion, to learning to tolerate it, to contain it, means then that there's nothing else you need to do. Just to learn to simply be with the experience as it's happening in your body. And that is a very rewarding and an empowering skill or muscle to build, because then you're not going to be relying upon that need or thought that you need to take action or you need to do something. So acute emotional pain, it's normal, it's natural, it's a sign that something needs attention. But if it's unaddressed, it starts to become chronic and stagnant. So what we want to be able to do is to build this skill of being able to turn and face our pain, to be able to truly acknowledge what's happening to us without invalidating our own experiences. Some people are so quick to want to avoid playing the victim, or they fear wallowing in their emotions, that they've developed a really quick habit of bouncing out of whatever they're experiencing or feeling. And it's really essential actually to be able to be with our feelings, let them inform us, tolerate them, and then they will have their own way of starting to dissipate. And so the skill of being able to turn and look is almost this like counterintuitive way of working psychologically with emotions. We actually want to feel more, and that helps it release from our bodies. But if you are full of pain, sometimes people feel like they are in such a chronic state of pain, emotional pain or physical pain, it can start to really influence your identity. And so it's essential to remind yourself, I am more than my pain. Pain often speaks very, very loudly internally to us, and it can be hard to start to hear the other parts of who you are. And so this is a really important affirmation or phrase to repeat to yourself as you're starting to find your way and explore, who am I beyond my pain? And it's a key piece in learning how to let go. It's about reminding yourself that you're more than your pain, and that a part of you is unharmed, because nothing is ever 100% in our lives. And so sometimes the task is to find that minority part, even if 99% of you is in pain, find the 1% that is unharmed, or I'm willing to see the part of me that is unharmed. Sometimes if the brain is just looping and stuck on harm, pain, anxiety, you can remind yourself, this is old stuff. This is pain or anxiety from the past. This is old stuff. And that is one of the ways to start to break out of the loop that keeps our body in that anxious kind of thought system. And here are some more keys to tolerance. These are the essential steps. You want to be able to name the feelings and sensations, and you've got the handouts with all those different feelings and sensations. So literally just name them, or get as close as you can to naming them. And then sit with the sensation with some mindfulness, without judgment, without criticism, and without needing explanation, but to sit with the sensation. This is my heart fluttering. This is my stomach feeling heavy like a pit. So you just kind of keep gently naming what's going on without telling a story about it. And it's within this concept of acceptance. It doesn't imply that you have to like what is happening, but it is happening. My heart feels heavy. I'm not telling a story about it, but you're showing up to the sensation as it is in the present moment in your body. Again, remind yourself it won't last forever, and that emotions are like a wave. In fact, often within 90 seconds of sitting with a sensation, you will start to notice slight shifts and changes in what's going on. So continue to stay present. What is happening now in my body? Sitting with it. Taking a breath or two. Now, what is happening in my body? And you will start to notice a sense of relief that comes when we actually begin this practice of turning inward and turning toward. And this is what really begins to build the keys to resiliency. The definition of resiliency is the human capacity to face, overcome, and even be strengthened by experiences of adversity. And the way we build resilience is through positive and supportive relationships, developing insight into our own personality patterns and internal programming. Keys to building resilience include self-care, and that also might mean spirituality or relationships, connections, friendships. And then an aspect of creating insight and awareness to become actively more mindful about your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and to increase your own self-reflection about how they affect you and what can be done about them. And here are some great examples of understanding what resilience really looks like. It is the ability to adapt to change, to deal with whatever comes, to find humor, to give your best effort no matter what, that even when things look hopeless, you don't give up, knowing where to turn for help, thinking of yourself as a strong person, and having a strong sense of purpose. These are all ways that really feed our resilience and our tolerance and our ability to be with what is coming up within us as it comes and to be able to stay very present to who we are and how we're feeling in the moment, no matter what. Some people feel or think that resilience is a personality trait, that you're just born with it, or that you only need it when things are bad. Another myth about resilience is that it's just stoically stuffing your feelings down or that it's about willpower. So resilience isn't about any of those things. It is a skill that we can develop that helps us face the adversities and the anxieties of life. And here are some reflections to take this deeper. What pain or pains am I holding on to from the past? What emotions am I feeling because of these pains? What beliefs do I hold about myself or the world that are keeping me stuck in pain? What would my life look like if I were to let go of this? And what lessons have I learned from these experiences? How have I grown? And what kind of support do I need to let go of this pain? Please take your time to go through these reflections and activities and make this chapter real for you. Make it apply and take it inward to begin the process of transformation and healing.